Good evening and welcome to the Willington Board of Education special meeting. This is our budget workshop number 4. It is February 10th, 2026, and we're calling the meeting to order at 6:02 p.m. We invite you to join us for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we are prepared for present to speak. If you are online or you're in person, you can just go ahead and raise your hand and welcome your comments here on budget night number 4. We have our loyal audience member. Thank you. Anybody else? Well, 2 of those are us. We're present to speak. You can also just talk to your computer screen if you're watching the recording right now, but except that we don't hear you. Emails. Okay, thank you. Moving on. Number 4 is superintendent budget updates. So we have at this point reviewed all sections, all programs of our budget. Tonight was scheduled just to get a couple updates, review everything, and make sure that we're ready to send it on to Board of Finance. So, Bill, I know you send us some information that you had done a little bit of research on. Let's share that with us.
I'll do a quick recap of what I sent. So I sent you the Novus, basically the annual meeting information, and I also sent you their IT support roles and responsibilities. Kevin put that together with his guys for me of what they do on site for tickets. So there's that. I sent you information about the MCOR contract, their hourly rates, and what they're doing as well. And we did compare that out to a couple other vendors recently, and actually continue to do that. And at this point in time, we think that's the best option. We back and forth with our school messenger rep. She was on vacation. Now she's back. She was supposed to contact us today, and we did not hear from her. So I'm still trying to figure out the website side of that. Well, that answer is I don't think it's going to save us a bunch of money if we could do away with it, but I'm quite certain it's hosting, looking at the billing. And then we did have our meeting with the health insurance broker, who still has nothing. And so we are waiting. She said I'll let you know as soon as I have something. She said we are not the only Anthem client who is highly frustrated about this because of our budgets. But it is kind of what she thought. They're trying to see where their profit margins are and watching the economy and what they can do. And so as soon as we have something, I will share it with you. She also agrees that we have a good case, that we should be seeing a much better rate than a 10% increase of what we budgeted. Time will tell. We do have time to go out to bid. I asked that if we found out in a couple of weeks, and she said, yes, absolutely. You have time to go out to bid if you need to.
Do they have does the insurance have a deadline?
She told me, we expect to see it in a couple of weeks.
Wait, that doesn't answer my question.
It was pretty vague.
Can we go on?
She was frustrated too. You would risk, if you go out to bid, even though you have good experience, I'm anticipating your question.
Yep.
If you went out to bid right now, you would risk having an increase higher than 10%.
When's our renewal?
What's that?
When's the renewal?
It's the end of the fiscal year.
Oh.
So the new rates would start July 1. She did tell us there are clients receiving 40% increases. So that is alarming, obviously, but I mean, again, we have good usage. Our numbers, she showed us our latest numbers. They still look good. That's to our benefit. What I do expect is when they their first proposal, and that's where the negotiation comes out, they give you a not to exceed number. And if it's a lot of times what they'll do is they'll say, we'll give you a not to exceed 5%. They'll come down and they'll say, but you can't go out to bid at that point. And then you have to make a decision if you want to go out to bid, if you think you'll improve. My suggestion will probably be to not go out to bid if they're 5 or lower. I will see what the broker says at that point in time. I think she feels the same, but the rates have been pretty astronomical, as you see all over the place.
So I'm just having a hard time understanding what the difference is this year versus like last year. And then, because we got a really good rate last year,
Yeah.
and we were not waiting till
Or
the
small.
11th hour, but we were a small fish last year too, so I don't
We
understand.
were, so think about, if I'm totally making this up. If we were 1% of their total, all their business, and we have good rates, and so they give us what we're going to get. They're banking on what the other's going to get, and then other groups tank. Their usage is horrible. We're part of whether they make or lose money. So if they can make some money on us still, they're going to try and do that. This is the first year they decided to hold out this long. It's just frustrating for budget timing, but I don't know that there's anything we can do about it. What I will tell you is we also looked at another plan. If you know about Connecticut's the state plan for health insurance, that was like a 27% increase over our current price.
Is it like an industry-wide problem or is it just an Anthem problem?
I believe it's an Anthem problem.
No, it's an issue.
Is it? Okay, they're all.
Anthem is very fractured as a company, but this is an insurance problem across the board.
Okay.
It's not anything.
I've heard of teachers switching, I've heard of teachers switching or trying to with their contracts, go to the state plan.
It's a very rich plan,
Yeah.
but I mean, for us, for a 27% increase, it's not even worth a look. I mean, it's wild.
All right, so what do we have? How did we get this number that's in our budget document right now? Like,
10% increase, good question.
yeah, remind
The
me.
number that's in your budget document right now
Yeah.
is what Donna and I sit down with. We take our current census. So we send out a survey, and of our current staff and say, do you expect any changes? We have a teacher who's on their parents' insurance for that final year and they're like, next year's the year I have to come off. I have to take insurance. We get that information and then we build the cost of the insurance based upon the census that we have today. And that's with the not to exceed 10%. So we go through, if someone goes from insurance and now they're going to take the waiver and they told us that, we make that adjustment on our total cost. So the amount you have today in your medical and your dental is what the board we expect to pay based upon the census today, that we know, with a 10% increase. I think Mike is doing the same thing on the town side,
Okay,
because he's in the same boat.
that's good, because then you can focus on finance. We'll know that's kind of the situation. I'm sure it's not the first time such a thing has happened too. Okay.
I mean, sometimes negotiations go for a while. This is the longest I think we've ever gone without a communication saying you're not to exceed. Our broker is saying that 10 to 12%, and we put 10 in.
All right.
So those are really the only updates I had off of since your last meeting. Did we print page 3? Did I ever give that to you? Especially that page, the one you didn't have. Did you get that?
As a separate email since our last meeting, I don't think so.
We were gonna print that. Am I meeting off?
Wait,
No,
what
you're
was
right.
wrong? Page 3?
We were gonna hadn't printed.
Oh, yes.
Page 3, or program 3, sorry.
That had to get updated.
Yeah, the new number, if you just wanna write it on there, the grant offset where it says excess cost,
That's
it
page
is
16.
page 16, yep. It said 425,945.
Mhm.
That is now 361,920. Again, the 425,945 is now 361,920. The budget total is now $2,914,322.
Because the state capped something, right?
Correct.
emailed it to us, but.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, the state capped the amount of excess cost this year, and I just think it's a huge risk to go above what we were capped at this year.
That's not fun news at all. Okay. All right, so did anybody have anything since the last meeting that you want to review, go over? Any brilliant ideas? Tonight?
Just real quick, I sent this to Bill, so I do a little research on the, AI recordings for meetings. There's one, website that's decent and they're free up to 3 hours. There is actually another one out there that is specifically for municipalities. You can train it, you can label it, do everything with it. The problem is it costs $1,200 to do anything with it, and that's exactly what we pay for the person anyway, so there's no savings there. It might be something that the town and the Board of Ed want to look into in the future as a whole, but as of right now, there's no real savings. The only thing we could do is we could try out Otter for like a subcommittee meeting and just see how it goes, see how it takes it to go from there.
Brendan and I have already messed with it.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Are there any security risks doing?
Not in a public
something?
meeting. You gotta, it's all
Yeah,
public, so. I mean, what would be the risk?
yeah, deleting,
Oh,
inserting.
I see what you're saying. No, yeah, it would have to be
Voices.
checked.
Kinks, yeah.
It'd have to be checked, but it just wouldn't have to be transcribed.
Right.
basically.
It's still, it ties right to your Zoom. So you still Zoom, it just basically picks up your voices and who it is and knows who it is. And we were testing it out, both of us talking. It was pretty wild, to be honest with you.
Did it say person one, or did it actually could you put it in someone's name?
We didn't insert a video yet because we wanted to,
Yeah.
but we can, it's worth looking into it.
Once you name people, it'll remember it going forward.
Yeah.
But there's no real budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to know though. Can I just ask a budget question? I was reading with great interest that email that you forwarded to us about the budget, Lamont's budget stuff. And so on the top half, it talked about funding the education cost sharing formula according to statutory requirements. And then if you scroll down, it says eliminate additional operating support designated for RESC operated magnet schools. Oh, that says magnet schools. So like they are allowed to increase their tuition to whatever they want. And we have to pay it with funds that we may or may not have.
I don't think that's gonna happen because there's pressure from every town not to have their public schools pay more. It's not just one group that's impacted. Anytime you get, and this has come up before in the past. So that came up last year as a point like, hey, we can increase to what we actually pay. And it was shot down.
So this is proposed, but not necessarily going to pass.
There are a ton of proposals and we're already tracking proposals and seeing the challenge is what's, there's a lot of push for special ed right now. You all have in your next meeting, you have a letter that we've been working on as a group of superintendents trying to get information and have groups sign together to see if that builds some power and see if that matters instead of just Willington doing something that when it's signed by a bunch of different towns and it's really about the Northeast, smaller towns, because it's around special education funding. It's just, it's not sustainable long-term. and trying to identify different avenues. That's the stuff that impacts your budget.
Well, yeah, I mean, I remember sitting frustrated at the beginning of this process, sitting here again saying, this is not sustainable.
Yeah.
At some point we'll be right, probably sooner than later.
Can you say, just for folks who are tuned in, who maybe don't know, why is it our responsibility to cover the cost of tuition at magnet schools?
At
Like, what
magnet
is the
schools,
meaning behind that? We offer a public school program. When families choose to go elsewhere, it is because they offer programs we do not have.
maybe, could be. Some of the magnet schools are free. Some of them charge tuition and they're $5,000 or $6,000 a student. Our magnet school tuition really is in probably the $15,000 or $20,000 range. If you look at our budget, it's not a great deal in the grand scheme of things, but it's still money you're paying for when you wouldn't pay that money if they were here. You do not pay their transportation. You do pay their special education needs if there are special education needs. So you get billed for that.
What's the difference between a RESC magnet school and just a regular plain old magnet school?
Are you looking at something in particular?
Well, it says eliminate additional operating support designated for RESC operated magnet schools.
So RESC is like an EastCon. They
Right.
run, so the RESCs learn ACEs, EastCon, they run their own magnet schools. There are other places that they may run a magnet school, but they're not a RESC.
So that would be geared toward special education kiddos, or
Not necessarily.
that wouldn't be a school that someone would be outplaced at.
No,
Okay, that was the correct question I was trying to get to.
no, typically no.
Okay.
There's, I mean, you're on this topic, so it's not a bad thing to talk about because it is connected to your budget. What the communication that you have that's in front of you that you could consider signing, I think what they're looking to do is to have superintendents, board chairs, and like the first selectman or whoever you have blessing for your town sign. They can do it digitally. They basically are the proposal on that, and you can add to this. You can make it your own if you don't want to just sign off on that one. But one of the proposals is changing the legislation so that, and I'm just gonna be really frank, I don't think it's gonna cost the state too much money, but they're looking, instead of paying 4.5 times per pupil, to making it 2.5 times per pupil. And that means, we spend 121,000, something like that, before we get excess cost. That's at 4.5 times. Think about if you only spend 2.5 times. It's significantly less money before you're eligible for excess cost. My argument, and I understand why they want this, but my argument is if they can't afford it at the 4.5 times, why in the world would they be able to afford it at 2.5 times? If the proposal is geared towards towns that if you look at the poverty rates and they're less able to pay because of the poverty rates, if you were going to say, okay, the top 30, 40 towns, they're making, they can raise their mill rate and build a new school. Those towns should be at the 4.5 or 6.5 times, in my opinion. The lower towns on the list should be 2.5, 2. If it was scaled that way, I think it would make more sense. That's one idea, but that's in your letter. The other idea that's not in your letter that I have really, and I pushed this through Tammy, and I heard there's some work on this, is that I really believe that the money should follow the child. And this doesn't change the cost of it. But basically what happens is if Phil moves into Tolland and Phil was outplaced, but Phil lived in Willington, Willington budgeted for Phil, but Phil moves in October into Tolland. Tolland now has to pick up the rest of the bill for the remainder of the year, and they did not budget for it, right? If the money were to follow the student for the remainder of the year, in my opinion, Willington should pay for that child through the remainder of that year, even though Phil moved to Tolland, because they budgeted for it. And that would not leave Holland in a shortfall for the year. We have lived this multiple times now in Willington where we've had the shortfall. The only caveat to that I would say you'd have to be careful of is if Holland had a program that they could keep the student in district for less money, then Willington would only pay for that program, not more, if that makes sense. And so the following the money to me, it doesn't fix the out-of-state problem, right? Someone moves from out of state, it doesn't fix that problem, but it does impact everybody in the state, because at one point or another, you're gonna have somebody move in or move out, and it's gonna impact you. You either budgeted for them or you didn't. And I have a hard time believing the money shouldn't follow the kid. If I needed more services within that year after moving, I do think the new town should pay for that. But it's just it doesn't solve the cost problem from a standpoint of it's just so expensive. It does solve a budgeting problem that doesn't leave the town in having shortfall. You could add that type of scenario to this type of letter as well. I've already emailed that scenario to Tammy.
We can touch on that more on our next agenda too. All right, did anybody have any other things to add or change? No, okay, I think we're voting, right, to approve it, to send it on.
You do that at your next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Review of prior programs and adjustments, we did that too. All right, any last comments? Thank you, Phil. Good luck, group. All right, then we are ready for an adjournment with the motion, please.
Move to adjourn.
Second. 6:24, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourning at 6:24, thank you.